Itsy Bitsy Spider on page 140. Vanetta couldn't stop practicing her poem. Well, it wasn't hers. She got it from a book of Negro poets at the center. If she couldn't sing her song, she would recite a poem all by herself. It wasn't enough for Vanetta to say her poem, which was actually Gwendolyn Brooks's poem titled We Real Cool. Vanetta tried to be her poem. Since there was no applause from Fern and me the first time around, she started up again, as zombie-like as she could, to imitate the toughs standing around outside the pool hall. If Big Ma heard Vanetta and saw her standing like a shiftless bum on the corner, we'd be on the next plane back to New York City. Vanetta was into a groove and couldn't be stopped. She started up yet again, saying every line of We Real Cool as loud as she could, in case Cecile hadn't heard her. I would have done both Vanetta and Cecile a favor by giving her a swift kick, but I didn't care if Cecile yelled at her. I didn't care if Vanetta disturbed Cecile's peace of mind, so I let Vanetta recite We Real Cool on and on. Vanetta was a perfectionist, but only about certain things that would get her noticed or earn her applause. Big Ma said Oh my goodness, Morgan, I'm sorry. Big Ma said Vanetta wouldn't be such a show-off if Cecile had picked Vanetta up more when she was a baby hollering in her crib. I didn't need a flash of memory to recall Vanetta's crying. She cried loudly and a lot. Our door was open and Cecile was in the living room lying on her beat-up sofa. Cecile could hear Vanetta perfectly well. Vanetta had said this poem 7 times so far. I was certain her aim was to say it 10 times each night, but Cecile didn't let her get that far. It took only 6 angry foot stomps for Cecile to make it back to our room. "Cut that crap out. That's not even a poem. I could have knocked that out in my sleep. You'd think Gwen Brooks was some sort of genius." Then she stomped away, this time into the kitchen. I heard her hands smack the swinging door hard. Back in the 4th grade, my teacher would have us lay our heads on our desks after we came in for recess. She would recite poetry to calm us down and get us ready to learn more science or history. Robert Frost, Emily Dickinson, County Cullen, and William Blake. All fine poets whom we should know, she'd say. Well, I knew a real live poet. I didn't know how fine Cecile's poetry was, but I had seen her writing poems in the kitchen and sometimes on the walls or on cereal boxes. Who else in my classroom could claim that they knew a poet and that she was their mother? So on the afternoon that Robert Frost's horse had clip-clopped through the snow, I raised my hand and told the class that my mother was a poet. "Now, now, Delphine," Mrs. Peterson said, "nice girls don't tell their classmates lies." She kept me after school and told me she knew the truth about how my mother had left home and that wanting a mother was no excuse for dreaming one up. I couldn't leave the classroom until I'd written "I will not tell lies in class" 25 times on the blackboard, and then I'd had to erase the board clean. How awful. Vanetta sulked something pitiful when Cecile told her to cut it out. Vanetta only heard that her recitation stunk. She wasn't thinking about how Gwendolyn Brooks was a great Negro poet and that Cecile, also called Mozilla, was printing her own poems in her kitchen. Last year, Vanetta practiced her curtsying more than she practiced her wings and time steps for the tip-top-tap recital. She fell on her fanny in the middle of her solo and was miserable for days. Usually I'd pick up Vanetta's broken spirits until she was once again crowy and showy, but now I let her sulk after she received no praise from Cecile. Serves you right, I thought. Just to be evil, I rubbed it in with an insult. "I don't know why your lip is hanging," I said. "You're just like her." We both know which her I meant. I said that to make her feel mad on top of being hurt. Just like I know how to lift my sisters up, I also know how to needle them just right. And not. Or 2. We did a few rounds of that, then a final not and 2. "Okay, Vanetta, suppose you were going to be on TV." She perked up on that one. "Playing Tinkerbell on Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color. But it was PTA night, our school talent night, and your little girl—" "Lutie Bell," Fern added in. "Lutie Bell," I picked up, glad to have Fern's support, "had a part in Itsy Bitsy Spider. In her Itsy Bitsy Spider costume. And she'd been practicing her Itsy Bitsy Spider songs and dance for days. Weeks. A whole 2 months. The Itsy Bitsy Spider went up the water spout." I knew I could count on Fern to climb high with her teeny sweet voice. Vanetta sat there defiant, unmoved, proving my point. It was like looking dead at Cecile. "A shiny white Cadillac comes to carry you off to be Tinkerbell on TV. But your precious little girl, Lutie Bell is standing at the door in her costume. waiting for you to take her to school talent night. What would you do?" "That's easy," Vanetta said. "I'd get in the shiny white Cadillac with my matching vanity bag and luggage." "And what about your little girl in her costume?" I asked. "Yeah, what about Luty Belle in her costume wanting to dance for her mama?" Each and every one of us knew the feeling of having no mother clapping for us in the audience. Only Big Ma and sometimes Papa when he came home from working time. Crowy and showy Vanetta said, first of all, I wouldn't dare name her anything as silly as Luty Belle, and my little girl would be happy I was a Disneyland movie star. She would tell her jealous friends at school, "There goes my mother on TV. I'll bet your mother just fries pork chops and wrings wet clothes. My mother is on TV flying around in blue fairy dust, waving a magical wand in a cute sparkly outfit." The magic of Disneyland had won Fern over to Vanetta's side. It was all that blue fairy dust and magical wand stuff. Fern's eyes twinkled as she imagined having a colored fairy mother. I was looking to get Vanetta's goat, but I only ended up losing Fern, and Vanetta was her old self. And that's why you're like Cecile. You want to be a fairy on TV more than you care how your kids will feel and if they'll miss you. Do not. Two went on between us until Cecile stomped back to the room and said, "Cut that crap out."